A research center in Manhattan is hoping to find a cure to a disease that impacts nearly 3 million people, multiple sclerosis. So joining me now to talk more about this is Dr. Violaine Harris and Sarah Bond. They work at the TISCH MS Research Center here in the city. So first of all, both of you, thanks so much for coming on. And before we get into sort of the latest treatments and some of the research that you're doing, Sarah, why don't, for people who are completely unfamiliar with MS, if they don't have a friend or family member who's ever experienced MS, just talk a little bit about what this disease means for a family.
Yeah, multiple sclerosis is a lifelong disease of the central nervous system. It impacts the fatty sheath called myelin that surrounds nerves that help communicate signals from your brain to the rest of the body. So when that sheath erodes and the nerves are impacted, people have difficulty with things like brain fog, fatigue, they start to have motor difficulties, they might struggle to walk, and it can be quite debilitating. It's also a disease that impacts families quite significantly because 3 out of 4 people with MS are women.
And so what is the average age that somebody gets that kind of diagnosis?
You can get MS at any age, but it is most common among middle-aged and older women.
Dr. Harris, talk a little bit about some of the research that you're doing at the center and what some of the goals are right now.
So we're focused on asking some really big questions in MS. What causes MS? That's still something that is unclear. Why do certain people get MS and others don't? So we're looking at the cause. We're trying to understand why certain patients experience disease progression, meaning that their neurological disability progresses over time. This is something for which there's no treatment that exists right now. So we're trying to understand the mechanisms. And then we're also very focused on regenerative therapies, trying to address the issues that patients have when they're having advanced disability using stem cell-based treatments. We had one of the first FDA-approved clinical trials testing stem cells in patients with MS.
I mean, it sounds like the really big questions are still not answered when you talk about who gets it, why, and what are the really successful treatments available. But what are there treatments available that can help slow the progression and help improve a patient's quality of life?
Yeah, so now in 2025, we have really highly effective therapies that we can use for the initial stages of MS, and that prevents a large part of the disease progression. But even with that, there are a certain number of patients that progress in their disability, and those are really the ones that we're focused on in terms of developing new treatments that can provide neuroprotection, remyelination, and regeneration.
And Sarah, talk a little bit about the center and what you want people to know about the work that's being done there.
The center is really inspiring, and I don't just say that because I work there. It's a really special place that can rapidly translate work we're doing in the lab to patients' bedside. Because we share space with a multiple sclerosis clinical practice, we're able to let those things inform each other so that we're only researching questions that are of utmost importance to patients, and then we're able to translate that research for them and take away some of the obscurity that typically surrounds scientific research. The most exciting projects for me are the stem cell clinical trials that Dr. Harris mentioned. We're using induced pluripotent stem cells that are a whole new class, supercharged regenerative ability that's sort of just become available to us through the latest advances in technology. And we're working a lot with cerebral organoids, which are mini brains and mini spinal cords that we can manipulate in the lab to mimic the disease and hopefully identify new therapeutic targets through.
Dr. Harris, is it possible to assess now how much closer you are to getting the answers to those big questions you brought up?
Yeah, I think we're getting closer and closer every day. Some of the new technologies that are available are allowing us to ask questions at a very basic research level that I think is moving the field forward very rapidly.
And it's so interesting to me that I read that your center is 70%, nearly 70% women. And Sarah, you mentioned that this is a disease that does disproportionately affect women, but we all know that women have not been represented in STEM fields to the same degree as men for many, many years. How are you trying to change that?
Well, at our center, we have a really strong mentorship program. I think that that is absolutely key in helping young women in science come to flourish in their careers. Dr. Harris is at the helm, and she's able to show young female scientists that they don't have to choose between having a family and making significant advances in their field.
Have you noticed a change on that front?
Absolutely. I mean, mentoring is one of my favorite things I do every day. And you know, when I was a PhD student, the majority of students are women. But when you look at a senior, scientists, very few women, under, maybe 30% are women. So I think at the TISCH MS Research Center, we're making really great strides in getting more women in STEM.
Dr. Viola Harris and Sarah Bond from the TISCH MS Research Center. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.